Caitlin Clark did what I could not do. She shut up the entire media. They got nothing left to say. All they can do is praise Caitlin Clark. Thank you, Caitlin Clark, for finally shutting up the media. But she hasn't shut me up. I got more to say. Next. Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Tuesday. Happy day after Caitlin Clark Day. Man, am I excited about today's show. We're going to be joined by a first-time guest, Dre Baldwin. He's a talented YouTuber. He's written a book. He played some college basketball. He played professionally overseas for 9 years. He's got a terrific take on Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese that kind of inspired today's show, so we'll hear from him directly. Shemeka Michelle is going to join me at the back end of this show. She's going to help me talk about the Angel Reese aspect of last night's big women's college basketball game. Fantastic show for you today. First thing you guys can do is go to blazetv.com/fearless. Use my promo code FEARLESS, and you can save $20 on your yearly subscription. Second thing you can do is start hitting that likes and subscription button on YouTube. If you're listening over Apple, give us that 5-star rating. We need that to fight the algorithms. And we want to begin by thanking our great friends at Good Ranchers. This episode is brought to you by Good Ranchers. Fall in love with beef, chicken, and seafood all over again by subscribing at goodranchers.com. Use my promo code FEARLESS to get $150 worth of free chicken wings for a year, plus $20 off your annual subscription. Let's get into my fire starter on last night's huge women's college basketball game. Iowa knocks off. Anyway, we'll get into it. Let's stop. Let's stop with all the qualifiers and keep it real simple today. Caitlin Clark is the best women's basketball player any of us have ever seen. Caitlin Clark is the most important basketball player since Michael Jordan. Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes can lose to Connecticut on Saturday in the Final Four, and everything I said above will still be true. Clark can disappear into the WNBA abyss next season, and everything I just said will still be true. In the Albany 2 regional final Monday night, Sho White cemented her legacy, single-handedly destroying overhyped rival Angel Reese and avenging last year's NCAA title game loss to LSU with an unforgettable 41-point outburst in a 94-87 victory. Bombs over Bayou. That's how we will remember Clark's signature college basketball game, the contest that removed all the qualifiers skeptics want to use to limit her greatness. Caitlin Clark isn't just the best scorer or shooter the women's game has ever seen. She's not simply the most exciting women's player we've ever seen. She doesn't need an NCAA title to validate her place in history. She's the greatest of all time, and it's not really close. She's one of one in the women's game. She's so good, she can only be understood in comparison to the greatest men's players. She's the first woman to master the art and skill of basketball to the point that she significantly elevates all of her teammates. That's how we used to identify true basketball greatness. Are you old enough to remember basketball before LeBron James and his media worshipers dumbed down the game and the evaluation of it? Magic Johnson and Larry Bird became transcendent stars because of their individual superiority and their ability to make the other four guys on the court with them significantly better. Let me just stop right there with, can anybody name who was on Larry Bird's Indiana State college basketball team? Can you name any of his teammates? Carl Nicks comes to mind. I can remember him. I'm from Indiana, and I'm old enough, but no one knows, no one cares. There's one guy off that Michigan State team with Magic Johnson, anybody can remember, Greg Kelser. He was pretty good. But these guys elevated people that were average and turned them into great players. That's how we used to evaluate greatness. Go to the NBA. Isaiah Thomas won back-to-back NBA titles because he elevated Joe Dumars, Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, and John Salley. Michael Jordan never won a title until Phil Jackson taught him how to bring out the best in Scottie Pippen. You have to be incredibly skilled and bright to perform at a high level while elevating the performance of the players around you. No women's player has ever been skilled enough to do both until Caitlin Clark. Most of the men playing today are not bright enough to do it on a consistent basis. LeBron James changed the evaluation of greatness. He reduced it to titles. That's all anyone cares about. There are basketball fans who watched last night's LSU Iowa game who believe Angel Reese is on the same level as Caitlin Clark. And part of their argument is that, well, Angel Reese has an NCAA championship ring and Clark doesn't. It's a really dumb argument that the LeBron James era legitimized. Take someone like Jay Williams, who I respect. Remember, he rolled this out a couple of weeks ago, that unless Caitlin Clark wins a title, she doesn't have a claim to be the all-time great. Are you kidding me? Did anyone watch last night? There are no questions left. It's a ridiculous statement. Someone like Angel Reese, she's a solid women's basketball player. She's the SEC Player of the Year. She was second-team All-American this season. LSU purchased Reese away from her home state university, Maryland. After a hot start in the first quarter, Reese fizzled the rest of the way, missing 12 of her last 14 shots. Her defenders, of course, blame it on the ankle injury she suffered in the second quarter. Not what happened. When Caitlin Clark started draining three-pointers from all over the court in the third quarter, it mentally and emotionally demoralized Angel Reese and everybody else on that LSU team. Reese's effort started to lag. She felt helpless. You could see it in her facial expressions as the ball repeatedly fell through the net from 25 and 26 feet away. Resistance became futile. Clark's dominance frustrated and mesmerized Angel Reese. We've never seen a woman do what Caitlin Clark did last night. We've never seen it. We've seen Cheryl Miller, Lisa Leslie, and Brittany Griner knock down a bunch of layups. We've seen Lynette Woodard, Sue Bird, and Diana Taurasi can a bunch of shots. But we've never seen one woman with the ball in her hands take over a game with a circus-making, shot-making ability and precise playmaking. Caitlin Clark had 41 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds to go along with the 9 three-pointers. 7 of the 8 Iowa players who took the court last night started their careers at Iowa. Caitlin Clark isn't playing with a bunch of transfer portal all-stars. She's playing with players, Kate Martin, Hannah Stuelke, Gabby Marshall, and Sydney Affolter, who have been elevated by Caitlin Clark's vision, excellence, and passing ability. Clark spoon feeds them layups. She leads Iowa in points, rebounds, assists, and steals. She leads the nation in scoring and assists per game. Only one other college player has ever led the country in points and assists, Trae Young. You simply cannot compare Clark to other women. Her performance last night ranks with the greatest performances in the history of basketball. It ranks with Magic Johnson putting up 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists in Game 6 of the 1980 NBA Finals. It ranks with Bill Walton hitting 21 of 22 shots in the 1973 NCAA title game against Memphis. It ranks with Elvin Hayes dropping 39 points on Lou Alcindor in the game of the century in 1968, Houston versus UCLA. It ranks with Michael Jordan's 38-point fluke game and LeBron James's 48 special against the Detroit Pistons. You gotta compare Caitlin Clark to the dude. I'm not saying she can play with the boys. I'm saying she can dominate like one. We were treated to history last night. Caitlin Clark elevated herself in women's basketball to an unprecedented level. She elevated herself in women's basketball so high that, and trust me, I went looking today. I want to see these people twist themselves into pretzels and put together arguments. Oh, well, you know, she's great. She's a great shooter, but she's not this. She's not that. They couldn't do it. It can't be done. She shut everybody up. I enjoyed that so much last night. And I told y'all yesterday, I had a soft spot for Kim Mulkey, and I wouldn't have been disappointed if LSU had won, just because I'm that much in the bag for Kim Mulkey and what she represents. But I'm a sports fan at the end of the day. And you only get so many opportunities as a sports fan to witness history and something you hadn't seen before. And we saw it last night. No woman has ever done what Caitlin Clark just did. The ball in her hand, she's the point guard. The ball's in her hand. And she completely dominated a game for 40 straight minutes. We've never seen that. We've seen Cheryl Miller get the ball passed to her and dominate the game. We've seen people running off screens and knocking down wide open three-pointers. We've seen women do that and dominate the game. But to see a woman with the ball in her hands the entire game and make incredible buckets for herself, create so much space for her teammates and so many cutting lanes for her teammates that she can just throw dime after dime after dime and get them layup after layup after layup. And to see a woman be so dominant that the other players on the court clearly get frustrated, clearly have their energy sucked from them. She sucked the life out of Angel Reese. And people, she twisted her ankle, and she hadn't twisted her ankle. And Angel Reese was dominant before she twisted the ankle. Miss me with all of that. She over-dramatized the injured ankle. And from the moment she limped off the court on one leg, I was like, she's coming back in. Cut it out. And she came back in and she played, but she had her excuse when she came back in. Well, I hurt my ankle. Caitlin Clark snatched her soul. I want to play a clip from Paul Pierce. He recognized what happened here and put it in the right context that Caitlin Clark's performance, this is SOT 7, is one of the greatest performances we've ever seen in NCAA tournament history. Play Paul Pierce.
I mean, the obvious answer is Caitlin Clark. But let me tell you something before I get to her. I was mesmerized by her. And I will tell you this. This was the greatest performance I've ever seen in the NCAA tournament, girl or boy. Greatest performance.
On this biggest stage?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because rarely does a game like this live up to its hype.
Yeah.
You know, rarely do you have the two superstars play like superstars, because you got to understand the scout report is geared to stop you. You know, all the hype coming into this is going to be people who've never watched a girls' basketball game watched.
That is
a lot of
correct.
people watched for the first time yesterday and saw the potential in a girl who's been in the spotlight all year long live up and even to me surpass what I expected from her yesterday. Did I expect her to get like 25, 26, around 8 or 9 assists? But when you go out there with the scouting report geared to stop you in the biggest game of your life that wasn't a championship game and perform like this, Skip? Coach said it after. Generational player. This is Steph Curry's influence. Now, I've never compared a female basketball player to an NBA player. You know, most of your comparables are to other female players. You know, you got Lisa Leslie and
Which one?
Tina, you know, Candace Parker and Tina,
Parker,
you know,
Cheryl
Shanika Holmes-Clark.
They all comparable.
Yeah.
Cheryl Miller.
Cheryl Miller, they're all comparable. But
Cynthia Cooper.
my only comparable to her is Steph Curry.
That's true.
And I'm like, I've never seen anything like it. So hats off to this game, to the players that performed in it. Angel Reese was spectacular, 17 and 20. Really did her thing. But like I said, these type of games never live up to the hype.
They don't.
This surpassed what I expected yesterday.
He told nothing but truth until the very end, but I'll get to that later, the Angel Reese part of this. But Steph Curry has never done what Caitlin Clark just did. I do get the comparison. I'm not saying he's wrong for the comparison. But Steph hasn't done this. And Steph does somewhat play the point in the NBA. But you talk about totally controlling the game for 40 minutes with your shot making and playmaking ability? Steph ain't done that. This was, and again, because she shoots the three and because she's 6 foot, he's really only comfortable comparing her to Steph Curry. But what she did is what Magic Johnson did in Game 6 of the 1980 NBA Finals. That's the compare. Magic Johnson, ball in his hands, control the game from all 5 positions, playmaking, shot making, rebounding, the whole 9. Magic did it. And it's 1980. Paul was probably barely alive, or I'm not sure exactly how old Paul is, but Paul's from out in LA. I know he knows about the game, but Paul can't make a college comparison because we literally haven't seen this in college basketball since 1973. Bill Walton went 21 of 22. It was a layup line against Memphis. I mean, they just couldn't do anything with him. Elvin Hayes went up against Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 1968 in the game of the century, dropped 39, and Houston snapped UCLA's, I believe, 47-game winning streak at that time. Those are the only 2 college games I would put. Now, I know there may be some Kansas fans, did Danny Manning maybe score 38 points in the national championship? I know Danny took Kansas on an incredible run. And I can't remember the year, but it was Danny and the Miracles. Maybe it was 1988, something like that. They went 21 and 11 in the regular season and somehow won the NCAA. Danny took a trash team and drug them to the national championship. And it was a great run. But you talking about on the biggest stage. And she can top it, perhaps, if somehow she figures out a way, if they get to the championship game and face South Carolina and she drops a 40-burger on South Carolina and they upset them, maybe she can top this performance. But this performance will go down in the pantheon of great performances in basketball history. There's nothing that's ever been done in the women's game that could be put in the same category as this. And she shut them all up. It's nothing but, I want to play SOT number 4, Stephen A. Smith. And because trust me, I was on the lookout. I'm on the hunt. Like, somebody please say something stupid. But this is how good Caitlin Clark is, that it's hard for them to find anything stupid to say. The performance speaks for itself. Let's play SOT number 4, Stephen A. Smith on Caitlin
that she's
Clark?
big time, that she's a superstar, that she's every bit as big time as we all suspected that she was. You know, we sat on this show yesterday, the three of us actually talking about this. And, you know, what I said was you got to show up. Greatness, Shannon would know a thing or two about it, the three-time Hall of Famer that he is. You know, greatness is about moments. We understand when you're great, but when you're compared to the great ones, it comes down to moments. Last night was a moment. That was what I kept emphasizing. You're going up against Angel Reese and LSU. Angel Reese that you've never beaten, okay, in 5 matchups that you've gone up against her. You've never been able to take her down. You've got a Final Four berth on the line. The residue from losing in a national championship game in lopsided fashion, I might add, is the backdrop of all of this coming into the game. So, yes, we were looking at Iowa, but the world was looking for Caitlin Clark. What are you going to do in this moment? LSU is bigger, more physical. A lot of people assume that they had the better roster, etc. What are you going to be able to do? And what does this girl, Caitlin Clark, do? She goes out and she puts on an absolute show. I mean, bombs away 9 3-pointers, dribbling behind the back, driving into the lane, pinpoint passes, 12 assists, galvanizing the troops and soaking greatness out of them that we didn't even know existed.
Right.
When you look at Kate Martin and others stepping up and doing what they did, this is what you're looking for when you want to cement your status as a bona fide superstar on your level. And last night, that performance by Caitlin Clark, prime time, national television, to show up against that team in the fashion that she did, and to have a 4-time champion like Kim Mulkey talking about her in the fashion that she talked about her, saying, I'm glad you're leaving, et cetera, it just cements what greatness is supposed to be.
The only thing Stephen A. Smith said that I disagree with is on your level. Because, and again, I'm not even criticizing him for this. It's hard to wrap your mind around what we saw. And this isn't me arguing she can play with the boys, because she can't. But this isn't about, oh, you dominated on your level. No, she dominated in a way that all we can do is sit back and say, whew. Again, it's like when FloJo ran the 100-meter dash in the Olympics, and it was something like we've never seen. We didn't say, well, oh, you know, that's on her level. Carl Lewis is faster. We just had to sit back and go, whoo, holy child, look at FloJo go. When Serena Williams is out there dominating tennis at the level she was dominating tennis, again, you could make, yeah, she couldn't beat the boys, but again, all you were just mesmerized by the dominance, and you didn't diminish it by saying, well, that's on her level, that's a bunch of girls. No, that's just dominance like we've never seen before. That's what we just saw from Caitlin Clark. Dominance like we've never seen before. Something that was so powerful that you didn't care whether it was man or woman, boy or girl. It's just like, wow, this is incredible. And so we're just talking about dominance here. And her dominance equals any other kind of dominance we've seen in basketball. Now, yeah, she's the first woman to do it. We've seen men do it. I've seen Magic Johnson take a game over, put it in his, I've seen Michael Jordan take a game over, ball in his hands, playmaking, shot making, the whole nine. I've seen Larry Bird do it. We've seen Isaiah Thomas do it. Hadn't seen a woman do it. And they so dirtied up the conversation in basketball. I don't want to hear from the idiots talking about she needs to win a national title to cement her place as the greatest of all time. Stop it. She doesn't need anything else. They don't even have to make it to the Final Four. They don't have to beat Connecticut. If the bus on the way to the stadium crashes and she never steps on the court, her legacy is sound. We saw it with our own eyes. When you see that kind of greatness, you just don't forget about it, and you just don't try to diminish it or put it in any kind of box and say, well, it's only this, it's only that. Nah, that was next level stuff from her as a performer, and it re-enters in my mind what a mistake she's making, what a mistake college basketball is making, letting her leave. Because no one's going to care in the WNBA. But I want to play Kim Mulkey giving it up for Caitlin Clark, because that's the only thing you can do. She shut everybody up. Let's play shot number 5, Kim Mulkey.
Well, there's not a whole lot of strategy. You got to guard her. Nobody else seems to be able to guard her. We didn't even guard her last year when we beat them. She's just a generational player, and she just makes everybody around her better. That's what the great ones do. I think they had a kid that scored 21 and 18. She had 12 assists. Caitlin Clark's not going to beat you by herself. It's what she does to make those other teammates better that helps her score points and them score points to beat you. What did I say to her? I said, I sure am glad you leaving. I said, girl, you something else. Never seen anything like it.
There it is. That's the whole explanation. Kim Mulkey knows basketball. And anybody that knows basketball knows you measure true greatness by the ability to elevate everybody else around you. And we saw that. And it's what we've been missing in basketball. And I know many of you will be, oh, here goes Whitlock taking another cheap shot at LeBron James. But it's just facts. He doesn't elevate. He diminishes his teammates. Was Dwayne Wade the best version of Dwayne Wade playing alongside LeBron James? No. Chris Bosh? No. Kevin Love? No. Everybody has to diminish themselves to make room for LeBron. And that's not testament to his talent. It's testament to his lack of skill. He hasn't mastered the game the way some of these other guys mastered the game. Not the way Magic, Larry, Michael, Isaiah. I know I'm going to irritate some of y'all as well. I'm not going to put Kobe in this lane either. And Kobe did a nice job with Pau Gasol, and I'm not going to criticize Kobe, but in terms of just elevating and rising up everything that you come in contact with when you're on the basketball court, there's only a handful of guys that ever mastered it to that level. Kobe came close, but I'm just not going to put him on the same level. And maybe I'm wrong for that. So I don't want to pick a fight over Kobe. But I know I'm damn accurate as it relates to LeBron James. And this whole era of basketball and the way it's evaluated, you never hear a discussion about, hey, what are they doing to the players around them? James Harden, who does he make better? Joel Embiid, who does he make better? Again, the only time you really get to talk about it, that Jokic, he makes his teammates better. I will give him that. But this whole era, all these, Angel Reese has a title. Caitlin Clark doesn't. You don't know basketball. You have no idea what you're watching if that's your takeaway. I'm going to pivot here and talk about the Angel Reese side of this, but I want to take care of another one of our great sponsors, thank them. We'll take a small break, and I'm going to come back and talk about Angel Reese. But before we do that, did you know that 35% of adults report experiencing poor sleep quality? Let me put you on to something that is going to transform your sleep. Cozy Earth. Discover the secret to better sleep with Cozy Earth's luxurious bedding products. And here's an exclusive offer just for our listeners. Use code FEARLESS for 35% off at CozyEarth.com. Cozy Earth bedding products are crafted with temperature-regulating technology, adapting to your body's needs, ensuring a sleep experience tailored to you. They use only the very best fabrics, materials, and weaves, offering superior softness that invites you to sink into a world of comfort. Worried about commitment? Cozy Earth stands by the quality and longevity of its products. Enjoy a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty on all purchases. That's a decade of unparalleled comfort and support. Incorporating Cozy Earth products into your self-care routine can enhance your sleep quality and overall wellness. Treat yourself to the ultimate comfort with Cozy Earth bedding and sleepwear, and prioritize your self-care and sleep health. Head over to CozyEarth.com and use the promo code FEARLESS for an exclusive 35% off. Guys, I got these sheets, I got these products in my own home. I'm not joking here. The products are great. 35% off. Use my promo code FEARLESS. Upgrade your nights, transform your days with Cozy Earth. The other thing I need you to do, go to fearlessarmyrollcall.com, reserve your spot today for roll call. It's Saturday, June 1st. The lineup is incredible. We need you there. Tickets have elevated to $150, I believe, general admission. We're doing that for 2 weeks. And then they're going to elevate again as we add more speakers and more entertainment. The entertainment, the speakers, the food, everything has been upgraded tremendously from a year ago. FearlessArmyRollCall.com. Reserve your spot today for the next 2 weeks. General admission tickets, $150. They're going up because I have more people coming. All right, don't go anywhere. I'm going to move into Angel Reese next. Hello, Fearless Army. I'm Jason Whitlock, your leader. I'm going to spend 2024 discussing growth and sacrifice. Hard times are here. Harder times are coming. What has stopped American growth and caused a regression in fundamental freedoms and values? A lack of sacrifice. Our ancestors sacrificed for our benefit. We have not sacrificed to protect the progress they died for. No sacrifice, no freedom. What impedes man's willingness to sacrifice? His ignorance, his perversion, his pride, his ingratitude, and his cowardice, his rejection of God. The Bible is a story about the power and the necessity of sacrifice. Sacrifice is the sun, rain, and fertilizer of growth. Growth is our life purpose. Grow in the knowledge, wisdom, fear, obedience, and reverence to the Most High. Growth requires sacrifice will be our theme for Roll Call 2.0 this summer, June 1, right back here in Nashville. We're excited to welcome you. Let me spend a minute explaining what GROWTH actually stands for us in the Fearless Army. The G is for game plan. In order to properly grow, it's essential we work from the strategic game plan spelled out in the Bible. The R, responsibility. As we grow as men, we understand and accept our responsibilities to God, family, and teammates. The O, ownership. We embrace ownership of our destiny. Outsiders do not determine our fate. The W, wisdom. We honor, value, and share the wisdom imparted to us by elders, coaches, and leaders. The T, trust. We must be worthy of trust. The reliability of a man's word defines him far more than popularity and material possessions. The H, humility. The reward for humility and fear of the Lord is riches and honor and life. That's straight from Proverbs 22:4. Come join us in Nashville as we talk about growth and sacrifice and how without sacrifice there will be no growth. Roll Call 2.0 right here in Nashville, Saturday, June 1st. Welcome back. I want to transition into talking about Angel Reese. Second half of the show will be more about Angel Reese. We'll talk about with Dre Baldwin and Shemeka Michelle a little bit later, but I just want to frame up the discussion a bit. I want to play for you Angel Reese's post-game comments, talking about her struggle and how unhappy she is and all the trauma and everything she's gone through. Let's play that clip.
I don't really get to stand up for myself. I mean, I have great teammates. I have a great support system. I got my hometown. I got my family that stands up for me. I don't really get to speak out on things just because I just try to ignore, and I just try to stand strong. Like, I've been through so much. I've seen so much. I've been attacked so many times. Death threats. I've been sexualized. I've been threatened. I've been so many things, and I've stood strong every single time. And I just try to stand strong for my teammates because I don't want them to see me down and, like, not be there for them. So I just want to always just know, like, I'm still a human. Like, all this has happened since I won the national championship, and I said the other day I haven't had peace since then. And it sucks, but I still wouldn't change. I wouldn't change anything, and I would still sit here and say, like, I'm unapologetically me. I'm going to always leave that mark and be who I am and stand on that. And hopefully the little girls that look up to me, and hopefully I give them some type of inspiration that, no, hopefully it's not this hard and all the things that come at you, but keep being who you are, keep waking up every day, keep being motivated, staying who you are, staying 10 toes, don't back down, and just be confident.
So I'm going to try to be graceful and try to be sympathetic to Angel Reese here. And I want to do that because I do feel some sympathy for her. I think that Kim Mulkey's in a tough spot trying to disciple, mentor, teach young people anything, because the media and social media have been rigged in a way that if you try to correct, if you try to lead young people properly, you'll be demonized for it. And so no one has told Angel Reese that just be who you are. And even if it sucks, just be who you are. No one's told Angel Reese, nah, that's really not your calling. You trying to figure out who you are and trying to be the person that pleases people over social media and who you think you are, it's a mistake and a trap. There's a book called the Bible that will give you an identity, that will spell out who you are. So it takes all the mystery out of it. And so all these things you're trying to be, thinking you're trying to be who you are and stand 10 toes down, and I'm strong. And the reason why you're depressed and it sucks is because you're not nearly as smart as you think you are. Because you would humble yourself and quit thinking life is about whatever makes you feel good in the moment. If you want true contentment and peace and a purpose, you need to align yourself with a biblical worldview, surround yourself with people who have a biblical worldview and are trying to live it out. And you wouldn't be making some of the mistakes. Angel Reese has drawn the heat that is too hot for her. She, again, leaning into this personality, this villain, this taunter, this, hey, look at me person. That's why you're attracting so much heat. That's why people are saying nasty things to you. I'm not saying that if you had done everything perfectly, there wouldn't be people taking shots at you. You're playing a sport that's competitive with fan bases that are fanatical. But, and Dre Baldwin's going to come on and talk about this. Let's look at, and I'm sorry to do this because there are some of you that are so brainwashed and stupid that you evaluate everything based on skin color. And so how dare Jason compare Angel Reese to Caitlin Clark? But I'm going to do it. Caitlin Clark the exact same person in victory and in loss. Last year, when Caitlin Clark lost the national title game and Angel Reese went to taunting her, Caitlin Clark ignored it all, took the high road, told the media what they wanted to hear, did everything she could to protect Angel Reese and to protect herself, because she knew if she told the truth, she'd get the kind of blowback she didn't want to deal with. But when Caitlin Clark lost last year, she lost with class. When she won this year, she won with class. That's because she has parents that are discipling her. I'm not saying Angel Reese has no parents, but are they discipling her properly? Is anybody correcting her? Is anybody criticizing her? We've created these bubbles for black athletes and black celebrities and personalities where, oh my God, you can't criticize them. You're hating, you're racist. And so they don't grow. They don't evolve. They stay the same person. I am who I am. I'm going to continue to put out all this hot air and all this energy that's going to draw heat and draw criticism because that's just who I am. And then when you lose, you go to crying and you draw more attention to yourself. Angel Reese loves attention. What's the purpose? You lost a game, and now I'm going to go out and share with the media all the terrible things that have happened to me. Last week, when you won, earlier this Saturday, when you won at the post-game press conference, did you cry and tell everybody how awful things were? Or were you in everybody's face and everybody wants to beat LSU and everybody wants to beat LSU? Were you arrogant and putting out that in-your-face energy that will get people in your face? You could have shed them crocodile tears Saturday when you won. But you waited until you lost, and now it's like, oh, guys, feel sorry for me. I've received death threats, and I've been sexualized. Have you looked at your own Instagram page? Have you looked at the sexualized pictures you post of yourself? You've been sexualized. I know y'all get tired of it, but it would be like me. God, you see on Twitter, they make fat jokes about me. What? Who put the McDonald's in your mouth, Jason? Them or you? I can't whine and cry about that. I did that. Angel Reese is the reason why she's getting all the blowback. And the media continues to lie to her and continues to go out of their way to protect Angel Reese. I want to play the SOT number 11, Andrea Carter. She works for ESPN. I briefly fell in love with Andrea, and then I figured out they told me last night she's on the alphabet team, and it nearly broke my heart. I just crawled up. I can't believe it. But anyway, I like this broadcaster, Andrea Carter. And this morning, she immediately went to caping up for Angel Reese and participating in the Angel Reese pity party. It's a mistake. Let's play SOT number 11.
You know, it's sad to me, Greeny, to have a player of that level of greatness have to deal with so much. And I was talking to SVP after the game late last night, and we have to reach a point where, and it should start with the college kids if it's going to start anywhere, where we are judging them off of their performance on the court. I know Angel Reese. I've spent time with her. She is happy to accept criticism of her game. She is happy to talk basketball. She is happy to be held to a higher standard on the court. But when the insults and the phrases that are being said to her come at a personal level, that weighs on you. We have to get to a point where we are judging performances and not judging them as people. I've seen so many things about who Angel Reese is as a person from people who have never met her. And that's the degree that becomes so heavy. That's what she's talking about. She's not talking about her game. She's talking about off the court, coming for who she is as a woman. And that's what has to change.
Angel Reese has to change. And if you're going to open up these social media accounts and have 3 million Instagram followers and 500,000 Twitter followers, and you're going to put yourself out there personally, don't be shocked when people start judging your personal life. When Jill Biden stupidly says, yeah, I might invite both teams, and you throw a little tantrum and start taking shots at a political figure, don't be shocked when people take shots back. If you just want to stick to the court, stick to the court. Let me blow your mind here. Not every college basketball player is active on social media. Unbelievable. That's a choice that's being made. And then, this is what, it's like, do these athletes, because Andrea Carter was a Tennessee basketball player, do they learn anything? Do they take anything away from what they're taught in athletics? Because I'm sure at some point a coach has told Andrea Carter, control what you can control and don't worry about the rest. So all this worrying about what other people are doing, speculating about Angel Reese or whatever player, you can't control that. Angel Reese can control what she does. If she doesn't want people talking about her sexuality, don't make your sexuality the point of your Instagram page. Novel idea. Shocking idea, but try that. If you don't want people to make assumptions about how you are off the court because of the way you behave on the court, tone it down. Don't be an in-your-face celebrator and trash talker on the court. If you talk trash, don't be shocked that fans are going to talk trash back to you. I just watched Caitlin Clark this year, and I know this bothers y'all that I'm making a comparison, but they're both basketball players, and I don't care that one's black and one's white. But I just watched Caitlin Clark go from last year doing quite a bit of trash talking to this year doing virtually no trash talking. She yells at herself. She yells at Iowa fans. She briefly yelled at referees, and then her dad told her to shut up, and she quit yelling at referees. And so Caitlin Clark puts a completely different energy out there, doesn't fill up her Instagram page with bikini shots, doesn't call herself Bayou Barbie, and doesn't take the court with long fake eyelashes and a weave, and just doesn't, come out there all glammed up. Caitlin Clark comes out there to play basketball, and mostly people talk about her as a basketball player. She hasn't involved herself in anything else. That option is available to Angel Reese. She took a different route. She wants the attention. She wants as much money as she can get, and she's got it. And this is what goes along with it. And we need to be telling young people, quit building your lives around social media. It's a trap. It will mentally destroy you. It will make you think you're something else other than an image bearer of our Creator. No one's going to say that. Everybody's just going to cape up. I want to play Skip Bayless, SOT 10, giving Angel Reese a pass for her performance last night. Let's play the clip.
But I'm going to reemphasize the fact that Angel Reese does deserve a little bit of a pass for last night because I think she turned her ankle pretty badly when Caitlin went up into her and sort of they hit in midair and she stumbled under the upright and fell through the photographers. And I think she turned an ankle that she'd already turned the SEC tournament.
And the coach didn't even look.
Yeah, that is a fact. So I look at what she had done up to that point. At that moment, when she turned her ankle, LSU was up 34-30, and she had made 5 out of 7 shots and looked like she was just going to play volleyball all night at the rim, tipping it to herself. After that, after she came back from that, she went 2 for 14, and in the second half, she went 1 of 10. Okay, you can't tell me it didn't hamper her a little bit, as you said.
You can tell.
She couldn't spring. She didn't have her lift. Okay, so that was a big factor. But I'm going to take nothing away from Caitlin.
The big factor was them bombs that Caitlin dropped on her head, and it demoralized her. And she finally was like, man, this girl is different. I've never seen anything like this. Never seen a woman that can shoot 25 and 26 footers at the drop of a hat and sink these shots, and there's nothing I can do about it. I've never seen a woman who can take the basketball, and because of all the space she's created with her shot-making ability, that she can drop all these dimes on her teammates and give them layups. It demoralized Angel Reese because she's an emotional player. She leads with emotion. And that's why she eventually ran out of gas and became an ineffective player. I'm not giving her a pass. We wouldn't give a man a pass that briefly twisted his ankle, came back onto the court, and was ineffective. What man would we be giving that pass to? We wouldn't. And trust me, if it had happened to Caitlin Clark, no one would be giving Caitlin Clark a pass because she's white. And we keep wondering why white people keep evolving because they're allowed to be criticized. And we're not. Everybody puts us in a little protective bubble, unless you're a conservative black person, but everybody puts us in a little protective bubble and you can't criticize them. If Angel Reese wants less heat, I've got an idea for Angel Reese, and she has the power to make this happen if she returns next year for LSU. Do this, Angel Reese. Tell Kim Mulkey, hey, we want to be on the court for the national anthem. And we want to be on the court because I don't want to deal with the heat and the blowback from the people who are frustrated that we're not on the court for the national anthem. See, you can control what you can control. And the point of the media, both black and white, is to convince black people that everything is outside your control. Everything. Oh my God, if people are criticizing you, you can't do anything to lessen that. You can't tamp that down. You can't stand for the national anthem like virtually every other team and not bring that type of criticism on yourself. And again, Kim Mulkey answered the question yesterday when they talked about the national anthem, and they set up a routine where they're never on the court for the national anthem. That's a choice. And with that choice comes heat that Angel Reese and the LSU players have to deal with. And so Angel Reese finally lets us in and says, you know what? I've been miserable since I won this national championship. I got all this attention, I got all this money, but I'm miserable. And we need to be having that discussion with young people and making sure that they understand money and fame does not lead to happiness. And all these people you see running around flashing their money and living their best lives on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, the majority of them, anybody you see constantly posting content, here I am out at dinner, here's the meal I just had, here's this, here's that, they're miserable more than likely. Happy people don't do that. They're content with, hey, let me share this moment with the people that I'm actually engaging with, the people I actually care about. All these randos that I got to put these pictures out for, I'm living for them. That leads to unhappiness because once you don't get as many likes as you think you should, Once there's someone shows up in your comments saying things that upset you, they're in control of your happiness. You've turned it over to them. We need to be telling young people, control what you can control. We need to be telling that to Angel Reese. She could turn down a lot of this heat on herself by behaving differently. And that's not about selling out. That's not about, oh, I'm not unapologetically black. Every day you wake up with dark skin, you're unapologetically black. You don't need to take any extra steps other than getting out of bed. All this extra stuff. Let me change the way I talk. Let me make sure I listen to this rap music. Let me make sure I say the N-word. Let me make sure I smoke weed. Let me make sure that the alphabet mafia is good with me. All this extra stuff to prove how black you are leads to depression and unhappiness and failure. You got bigger fish to fry than to prove to everybody what skin color you are. It's a trap. We should be having that discussion rather than everybody running around caping up for Angel Reese. I want to play one final clip. Before I do that, this will be a combination of, I want to play this Jemele Hill clip because she's trending all over Twitter and she's an idiot, and I'll play that here in a second. But before I do that, I want to talk to you guys about our great friends at Cardio Miracle. Guys, I've been taking Cardio Miracle now for about 4 months. It's been tremendous. It's been one of the greatest decisions I've made in my life. The people, the friends and family that I've given Cardio Miracle to, they're all committed and all are enjoying the benefits of Cardio Miracle. Cardio Miracle has over 50 of the finest food, plant, and herbal ingredients that help stimulate your body to create safe, sustained nitric oxide like you did as a teenager or as a 25-year-old. It can replace most supplements you take daily, with each delicious glass. The energy, clarity, and stamina it provides all day and even at nighttime is amazing. I've been taking Cardio Miracle, as I told you, for about 120 days. Blown away. My mother, my friends, my brother, my best friends, my cousin that's a trainer in Arizona. I got everybody on Cardio Miracle, and not one person, guys in my office. You heard from David, my producer, who's had to reduce his blood pressure medicine. It's helped him in every facet. Cardio Miracle is one of the greatest things I've ever done. It's one of the greatest recommendations I'm going to make to you. It comes with a Fearless Army friendly 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Try it today, and you will never feel this good from a drink this easy to take. There are no synthetic ingredients, no GMO, no sugar, no stimulants, minimal calories, and uses the finest natural organic flavors. It's like a smooth raspberry lemonade Kool-Aid. I absolutely love it. It isn't just another supplement. It's a serious game changer. Go to my personal link, cardiomiracle.com/fearless. Use the promo code fearless to get 10% off your first order, or you can subscribe and save 15% off with free shipping. That's cardiomiracle.com/fearless. I want to end on this note before getting to Dre Baldwin and then Shemeka Michelle. I want to play this clip from Jemele Hill, and this is actually before last night's title game. But people are going after Jemele Hill, deservedly so, but I'll have my take here. Let's play the clip.
That's how people are so emotionally invested in this, because not only this is what makes this one maybe a little more unique than, say, a Duke UNLV, or even if you want to go back in time and say, a Joe Louis, Max Schmeling type of thing, or with a lot of the boxing matches that we've seen in recent history, is that you also have the gender dynamic that's at play here. And what everybody's sort of preconceived notions about how women are supposed to behave, whether it be Black women or white women. A lot of the digs that get thrown at Angel Reese is about behavior and policing how she behaves, and Flau'jae Johnson and Kim Mulkey about behavior. And like, no, they're not supposed to act this way. They're not supposed to be this brash. They're not supposed to be this bold. They're not supposed to get on the court and talk their shit. Like, they're not supposed to do these things, because this is not how we have idealized what women in a competitive sport, what that looks like. And I think another thing that kind of sort of inflames this even more is that we see that the criticism is often very one-sided. Caitlin Clark talks her shit. Caitlin Clark is demonstrative. Caitlin Clark, you know, and in this way, I do compare, in many ways I compare it to Steph, but also in this way as well, is that Steph Curry Steph Curry has a lot of flair and flamboyance to his game. Like, he can get into it, you know, with people, and he's got the shimmy and all that, but people aren't bothered by that. Caitlin Clark is the same way. It's like, people aren't bothered by it because they're caught up in the narrative of, oh, here's this, you know, wonderful, kind soul from the great state of Iowa representing Middle America. So they put all these sort of, what happens in these sports race wars is everybody projects their own shit on the people coming, and the people who are actually involved in the competitiveness of it, who have nothing to do with any of this. Some of it is media driven, some of it is personally driven. But at the end of the day, what's on the line tonight is an opportunity to go to the Final Four. And that's all they care about. But everybody watching cares about other shit that has nothing to do with basketball.
We're acting like Caitlin Clark has been immune from criticism, and she hasn't been. Fans criticized her last year when she did do quite a bit of trash talking. People even speculate. I saw a clip where Stephen A. Smith, when Angel Reese taunted Caitlin Clark after the game last year, Stephen A. Smith said, yeah, and if Caitlin Clark had won, she would have done the same thing. And I'm like, really? How do you know that? What makes you think that? And again, there's all these outside forces that are in control, according to Jemele Hill's narrative, and they're all evil and racist. And anything that Angel Reese gets that's negative, oh, it's because she's black. It's because she's, you know, she can't do, Steph Curry can do it, and Caitlin Clark can do it. Well, is there a possibility? Is it a possibility, after watching last night's game, that Caitlin Clark and Steph Curry play a style of basketball that to some degree, justifies them putting a little mustard on their game? And that Angel Reese plays a style of basketball that's boring, unexciting, and looks stupid, smothered in mustard. When all you do is grab rebounds and put it back in the basket, when all you do is jump 6 inches off the ground and push the ball towards the basket, it's not very exciting. When you slather mustard all on that, when you make a 2-foot putback, you didn't jump up in the air and dunk the ball one-handed over 2 or 3 other players. You made a little putback. And then you celebrate and get in people's face as if you just dunked on 3 guys or just hit a 30-foot jump shot. Maybe it makes you look stupid. Maybe that's part of it. And people have to play their positions and play their role. It's if I came in here every day in the tightest skinny jeans that they make, and one of our other employees, let's say we got an employee that's 6 foot, 170 pounds, and he wears skinny jeans every day, who do you think is most likely to get made fun of? Me or the 170-pound guy? Maybe one of us looks stupid in skinny jeans and the other one looks less stupid, but still stupid, because skinny jeans are stupid on dudes. But there's just, Jason, don't wear skinny jeans. And so, hey, Angel, embrace a style of play and a style of on-court behavior that fits your game. You look stupid out here trying to run around acting like you're Steph Curry or Caitlin Clark or Tracy McGrady or whoever, Vince Carter. Maybe that's the issue. And maybe we just refuse to give black girls, black boys sound, accurate, honest advice. It's exhausting. I don't know how these guys constantly, everything that comes out of their mouth is stupid and intended to make whoever the subject is even dumber. But Jemele pulls it off. Hats off to her. I'm going to bring in a different voice. We're going to hear from Dre Baldwin on this. Dre played 9 years overseas, played some college basketball. He's a great YouTuber. He's got a book called Work on Your Game. He's a motivational speaker. He talks to young people. He talks to high performers. We'll hear from Dre Baldwin next.
Let me show you where I'm at, Jason.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
And Stephen A. Smith, I come from the old school. If I can't read, I can't diss somebody who can read. That just doesn't make any common sense.
Kwame Brown is gone. The City of Angels, Hollywood, just should be celebrated. Throw a parade already, whether you win a championship or not. This man was a bona fide scrub.
If I can't play basketball, I'm not going to say it in a way that's going to offend somebody who can play basketball.
Got him!
The only reason why I would go to an Alabama opposed to an HBCU or a different school is because of the credibility that an Alabama would give me.
I'm going to tell him.
Don't you dare.
All right, welcome back. We're going to roll down to Florida and bring in Dre Baldwin. He's the CEO of Work on Your Game Incorporated. He's a successful YouTuber. He's written some books. He's a successful motivational speaker. After college, he spent 9 years playing basketball overseas. And he's really kind of what inspired part of the angle of today's show, this larger conversation I want to have that no one else is going to have. They're going to talk about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark in last night's game in a very limited way. And we're going to broaden that conversation. I've already done it with the monologue, but I want to give credit where credit's due. Dre Baldwin, welcome to the show. And I want to read everybody the tweet I read early this morning that kind of inspired today's show. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. Since your favorite journalist won't do it, I'll say what needs to be said. What you saw last year versus this year is a juxtaposition between winning and losing with class and dignity. Angel won last year, taunted Caitlin Clark, and rode off high and mighty because of it. That taunt was the best move of her career. She's basked in the glory of it ever since, then was celebrated by the culture for it. She will be famous for the rest of her career because of it. Congrats. This year, she loses to Clark. Now she's giving speeches about how hard it's been, how she's been attacked, misunderstood, and tears at the podium. Notice how Caitlin Clark did none of this in loss nor in victory. I'm going to stop there. You go on to say more, but I think people do need to focus in on the difference between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And to me, the difference is one of them was allowed to be criticized and grow from that criticism. And one of them, people ran around and threw oh, you're criticizing her. You must be racist. Anything she does is perfect and she needs to lean more into that. That's just her being her. And so one of them has continued to grow and evolve and become more classy and a better performer. The other spent last night whining on TV about how she's been sexualized and there's death threats. And anyway, just your take or expound on your thoughts on Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, Jason. And yeah, what you read is what I was thinking this morning when I was just looking at the dialogue about the game. And when Caitlin Clark lost last year, I mean, I didn't really hear her say anything. She actually praised Angel Reese, and all of the conversation was about what Angel Reese did at the end of the game. Their team's up, 15, 20 points. There's 30 seconds left in the game, and all of a sudden she starts taunting. First of all, that's a code violation because you can't talk trash when you're up 15 when the game's over. You got to do it when it's 0-0. But secondly, they're female, so I'll give them a little bit of grace. But they celebrated Angel Reese for doing that. And the only reason they did it, and I said this in that tweet that you didn't read the rest of it, but it's because Angel Reese is black and Caitlin Clark is white. So the black girl taunts the white girl, and it's all celebrated by everybody. Now, had the shoe been on the other foot, they would have tarred and feathered Caitlin Clark and had her head out in the middle of the town square. They wouldn't have allowed her to do that. And the biggest challenge that I was really writing about there wasn't about either of the players. It was about the world of journalism and the media and how nobody will call this out these days. Nobody talks about this stuff because they're not allowed to. Because if they did, if any journalist did this, a white guy, of course they're going to get destroyed. And if a black person did it, they would get buried and nobody would listen to anything they had to say. So everybody's kind of in handcuffs when it comes to talking about what the actual truth is. And I've always believed, and you can tell me if I got this right, Jason, that the point of being a journalist is to explain the truth to people. But it seems like a lot of quote unquote journalists, they're only that in name only, most of them these days, aren't doing that anymore.
Yeah, certainly not doing it. Most of them are afraid. And then there's another group of them that are too stupid, or it's their job, or they're pandering to Twitter. And what they're denying, though, is young people, particularly young black people, growth. Because this is the other part of the shoe. If you notice Caitlin Clark last year, she was the best player in basketball, and she let everybody know it. On the court, she did do a little hot dogging on the court with her opponents last year. And so she created some of that energy that sparked Angel Reese to taunt her. I mean, again, Angel Reese clearly out of line and out of bounds, but Caitlin Clark kind of put that energy out there that I'm a trash talker. And so Angel Reese trash talked her back when she got the advantage. This year, if you notice, because people said that about Caitlin Clark, and because she's raised by two parents with common sense, there was a lot less trash talk from Caitlin Clark directed at any opponent. She yelled at the stands, she yelled at her own fans, she yelled at herself, but she quit directing energy towards her opponents. Never saw it this year. That was growth. This year, when she started yapping at the referees way too much, what did her dad do? Hey, shut up. They caught him on camera at the game. You know he told her after the game. We haven't seen it since. None of that. She started directing all the energy at her fans and all that other stuff. And then last night, both teams, I got to give them credit, played a very classy game on the court. But we've seen Caitlin Clark grow, evolve, and improve because she was allowed to be criticized without everybody caping up and calling people racist. Whereas Angel Reese, anything she does, she can go out and commit a bank robbery and people, well, I mean, she needed the money. She's only getting $2 million in NIL. She's got family. We'd make an excuse for everything. Angel Reese hasn't grown or evolved. Her game went backwards. She was first team All-American last year, second team All-American this year. And again, didn't really add anything to her game. And now has to admit after the game, hey, ever since we won the national championship, I've been miserable. And I believe she's being honest there. I don't think she's found any happiness at all in being the villain, in being the person that everybody's talking about and criticizing. And it's because she put that energy out there, and she's getting back the energy she put out there, and she doesn't like it. She lives way too much on social media. That's another part of the conversation that I think we're missing is this girl is not happy. The money, the fame, the social media fame, none of that actually makes you happy and content. She's miserable trying to be some fake villain that she's really not.
And you know what? I agree, Jason, that she put herself in that position, as you said, when she taunted Caitlin Clark at the end of the championship last year. However, everything has a trade-off. I mean, there are no perfect scenarios, only trade-offs. And the trade-off of her making herself the villain was she got all this attention, because even the game last year, which I did not watch, I woke up the next morning, went on Twitter, and I saw everyone was talking about it. And all they were talking about was the last 30 seconds. The game was already decided, and they were just showing the taunts. So I never saw a highlight of anything Angel Reese did in the game. It was just the taunting, but that taunting made her famous and got her all the NIL, what you're saying, and all this attention. And everyone knows her name, even if you don't watch a second of women's college basketball. And she has dealt with that blowback. And I do believe you're right, that I think she was being honest when she said, I have not been happy the entire year since that. I also think that was a touch of knowing what kind of response that's going to create, which is going to lead the whole media swarm to come in and basically surround her and defend her. And anybody who has anything critical to say about her is going to get pushed back and get attacked for even saying anything, because she's female, she's black, and that's a protected class, and you can't say anything about them because, and I mean, there's a whole set of rules behind that. But I do 100% agree with you on that.
Well, and this is where I think if the media were doing its job, there's an opportunity to actually educate other young women in this scenario that, hey, don't make these mistakes that Angel has made. Angel lives way too much on social media. She's got nearly 3 million Instagram followers. Again, she's on the podium. They sexualized me. Angel, have you looked at your own Instagram page that you control, and all the bikini shots and all the sexualized photos you put out there of yourself? She's killing herself trying to win all this social media fame. She's, I think they said she made $1.8 million in NIL. Young people need to be educated that money and fame do not equate to happiness. In fact, a lot of times when they're poorly handled, it leads to depression and unhappiness.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And I think, like you said, that was a moment of truth for her, or truth telling for her when she said she's been unhappy. And at the same time, we wouldn't be having this conversation had she not taunted Caitlin Clark at the end of that game last year. So again, you got to kind of take the good with the bad, I guess. And had she won the game last night, what kind of conversation would we be having right now? Had she ended up winning that game? And they would have, all the media people, as I said at the end of my tweet there, they already had their stories ready for talking about, well, hey, y'all shouldn't be celebrating Caitlin Clark as much because, look, she got beat twice by the same LSU team, and they would have been talking up LSU's team and their players, and Angel Reese is this and that. But now since she got beat, nobody's writing anything. They all got to come up with a different angle and a different story, or they got to wait till next week and hope South Carolina wins so that they can just take that same energy and put it on Dawn Staley and her team. That's what I'm seeing in the media. And this is not really a race thing as far as I'm concerned. I just like to look at things logically and rationally. And it's clear to me that journalists have dropped the ball. They're no longer doing their job. And this is why people don't trust them anymore.
So you give motivational speeches, you counsel high performers. What advice would you give an Angel Reese?
Man, that's a great question. First, I'll ask her what she wants, because that's the first thing that needs to be clear, because my advice is only based on what outcome she's trying to achieve. So if she wants to be happy again, I want to find out what led her to not being happy, because she didn't really expound on that, but I'm sure there'll be an article coming on it from somebody who'll get some time from her. I want to find out what caused her to not be happy, and it might be the blowback from the internet. And I think what you said, the fact that she's spending a lot of time on social media, it gives and it taketh away. All right? It can make you look like a star when they're talking you up. But that girl on LSU's team who was guarding Caitlin Clark last night, I saw a lot of negativity about her last night because she didn't do too good of a job guarding Caitlin Clark, and she's getting trashed on social media. So if you spend your time there, it will give to you the same way it will take away from you. And what I tell people is, I tell people to go by what I call the 5% rule, Jason. So you remember years ago when Cam Newton lost in that Super Bowl and he didn't go pick up that fumble. It's 95% of people are going to talk good about you, 95% of people are going to talk good about you because they are fans of yours. They're going to be positive about you no matter what. And about 95% of people are going to be negative towards you no matter what, especially when you're in the public light. And it's about 5% of people whose opinions are going to be variable based on what they see and what they look at. And you can't live your life based on that 95% of people who are negative towards you. And Angel Reese put herself in a position to draw those people's attention. And when you get attention, a good percentage of those people are going to be negative just because that's human nature. It's not that many negative people in the world, but they tend to travel around a lot, as they say. And social media makes it easy to travel from the comfort of your own home.
She's battling the decision about whether to go into the NBA or remain in college basketball. I almost think she might be better off going to the WNBA because she'll have a lot of anonymity because no one watches the WNBA. She can just kind of meld into the crowd there. Seriously, there's less attention, less pressure. She might be better off in the professional ranks than under the spotlight of women's college basketball.
Well, it depends. What does she want the spotlight? That's the question, because we don't know. And so it depends on what she's actually after. Is she after the more money, more fame? But she probably would be able to soak up a lot more of that being a big fish in a relatively smaller pond, but a pond is being watched in college basketball. Or if she goes to the WNBA, where she's going to, first of all, face stiffer competition. She may not be able to do as well in the WNBA as she does in college. Nobody does, at least not at first. Most players don't. So what is her real career aspiration? Is it, I just want to be the best basketball player I can be? Or is it, hey, let me soak up a little bit more of this attention and fame and maybe collect some more of this NIL money on a college campus? I can't be mad at anybody who wants to spend another year on a college campus, especially when you're an athletic star. It's a good life.
Dre, let me tap into your basketball knowledge, having played overseas for 9 years, played some college basketball. I think Angel Reese will get exposed in the WNBA. I think in college basketball, she's a difficult matchup because there's not a lot of athletic girls similar to her spread all over the country. And so, but in the WNBA, there's only 10, 12 teams. She's going to find a lot of 6'3", 6'4" girls that are just as athletic as her. And again, her career has already peaked in college. She, in my view, you know basketball better than I do. How do you think her game translates when there's more equality and talent around her in the post?
Well, for any athlete coming from college to the pros, 99% of all of us, there's a learning curve when you go from the college level to the pro level, because only 1% of collegiate athletes are going to play at the pro level in damn near every sport, Jason. So, of course, she's going to face that steepness of the learning curve against other players, because her number one talent in college is that she has size. So in the pros, all the players with size made it to the WNBA. So she's going to have to make some adjustments, of course, to her game. But that is probably going to apply to most players who come out of college. So, yes, it's not going to be as easy for her at first, but it also depends on how much does she care about actually getting better and improving her game, which I don't really know. I don't know what she really cares about when it comes to basketball. I only know about her, as 99% of people do, because of the taunt at last year's championship game and then all the attention that's been on her ever since. I don't know really much about her on the court and what she's doing skill-wise, or if she's trying to improve at all.
Well, we know she has big eyelashes. We know she's got a direct connect on weave. So anyway, I'm going to stop. Dre, thank you so much. Enjoy what you do over social media. Would love to have you back on when we talk some more basketball. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's
Thanks for having me.
Dre Baldwin. Yep, that's Dre Baldwin. We're going to go to Shemeka Michelle, get a woman's take on Angel Reese next. Welcome back to Beef, as I walk you through my top 50 media beefs of all time. Yeah, I'm an equal opportunity beefer. It's like, Randy, are you asleep at the wheel? Big lips are in style. I'd love to squash this beef. I mean, I was not real happy at all. I was less than thrilled. I was displeased. And now we have beef. All right, welcome back. I'm going to be joined by Shemeka Michelle. Shemeka, welcome back to the show. Glad to have you back. I need your take on this. Kind of zeroed in here on Angel Reese. And I'm not surprised that she went to the post-game press conference and whined and cried and admitted that she's unhappy. I felt like a lot of her shtick has been shtick and phony, and I'm really not surprised that all the attention and the fame and the money hasn't made her happy. Your thoughts on what Angel Reese had to say after the game?
First, Jason, I'd like to say I don't know how these girls play under those hair hats. I have this little beanie on right now that has holes in it, and they run up and down that court. I don't know how they do it in those and those backlashes. But when it comes to her and her press conference, I'm not shocked at all. And I'm glad you actually talked about how people view social media. When I think about myself, I think I got on Facebook in like 2008. I wasn't on Black Planet, wasn't on MySpace. Facebook was the first social media for me. And I was already in my 30s. And so when I think about these kids, I kind of feel a bit sorry for them because they have no idea what they're getting into. And they've spent most of their lives getting their self-esteem based on the opinion of other people, because that's what it is. It's self-esteem, one's admiration for oneself, but they have all the opinions of other people. And you hear so many people say you have to block out the negative. But for me, I don't just block out the negative. I have my real life, and social media to me is not real. So whether it's a negative comment or someone praising me, I don't look too much into that. My daughter sent me a text message yesterday morning, and she was just telling me how beautiful I am. I'm intelligent. I'm her superwoman. I inspire her every day. That's real to me. Someone who knows me, someone who sees me every day. When it comes to the praise I get on social media, nothing they say could compare to what the people that see me every day say. And when you have these kids who that's all they have, they're looking at likes, they're looking at comments, be it good or bad, the opinion that they have of themselves is based really on the opinion of other people. So I can understand why she would be tossed to and fro, not really knowing who she is, not knowing what to think about herself. I mean, listen, we watch a lot of these kids, especially on this LSU team. They have no idea who they are. I don't know how you would get out and play such a strenuous, heated game as made up as they do. These girls are really struggling. And when you don't have the parental support or the people in your lives to say, hey, this is coming down the pike. This is coming down the pike. You need to not pay attention to any of these things, because that money, that fame, that's not going to make you feel good about yourself. You're going to be tossed to and fro because one moment they'll like you. The moment you do something or say something that they disagree with, all hell breaks loose. And so that's why I think, good or bad, you have to be able to separate what's real and what's fake. Anything online to me is just not reality. No matter what it looks like. I don't take too many comments or criticism, just good or bad, from people that don't know me. And that's what these kids have to learn. And unfortunately, most of their lives have been lived on social media.
It's her comments about I've been sexualized, and then you go to her Instagram and go, oh, hold on, who did this? You did this. Well, again, you have daughters around Angel Reese's age. What advice do you give them about putting themselves out there over these social media platforms?
You know, with my oldest daughter, she just turned 28. I don't think she listens to me anymore as much as she should. Or I'll say she's starting to come around, knowing that the things that I said that she kind of veered away from was right. And so now she's coming back in. But my younger daughters, I have one that's 18 and then 20, they listen and they know. Like before they post pictures, they always send them to me for approval. There's no ass shots. You know, we're not turning to the camera. We're not hanging our tongues out our mouths. Our legs are not going to be propped open. They don't do that. And so they get to see, because I'm on social media so much, how wishy-washy people can be. They see that there are people that will love me one moment, and then the next moment they'll be saying, why did you say that? Or why did you like that comment? Or why would you feel that way? So they've gotten to see that, you know, up close and personal. And so they carry themselves on social media with class and dignity. And I'm so proud of that I was able to kind of navigate that. And I wish parents would do a better job. I've seen, you know, how a lot of people were upset with Governor Ron DeSantis because he doesn't want kids on social media at such an early age. And I think that's the way it should be. If you're one of these parents who is going to be working all the time, or you don't have time to really be with the ins and outs of your kids, they don't need to be on it, because it will actually drive people insane. I've seen adults not be able to handle social media. So I can only imagine what it does to a child who has not really come into, you know, who they are. Of course, since I've been on social media, I've grown and I've evolved. But for the most part, I had a pretty good sense of who I was. And so when it comes to my kids, everything I've learned, I've just given it to them. And they don't get to tell me I'm grown. They don't get to say, you know, this is my phone or this is my account. They weren't able to tell me, Mom, I don't want you following me. Nope. We're friends. I'm going to comment on your posts. I'm going to see what you're doing. And this is the way it is, because I pay the phone bill. They don't have jobs, so they don't get to lock me out of their lives. I see a lot of that happening with kids. They'll lock their doors, or their parents don't follow them on social media. Now, if I'm feeding you, if I'm paying this bill, your business is my business. In fact, it's my business until it's completely your business on your own paycheck. But until then, it's my business.
Just as a mild sports fan, and again, probably was this some of your first experience with women's basketball last night? Just wanted your take on Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, just as basketball players, as a casual sports fan.
Yeah, so I watched women's basketball simply because my middle daughter played from the time she was about 9 years old through high school, but that's the only time I watched it. And when I watched the game last night, I didn't come to watch Angel Reese. I didn't even come necessarily to watch Caitlin Clark. If I'm honest, I wanted to see the matchup just because of what happened last year. I didn't watch any other games this season from either of these teams, but I wanted to see the matchup. And Jason, after sitting watching this game, during the game, I looked at my daughter and I said, are we sure Caitlin Clark's like she was born a girl? So we're online, you know, trying to find baby pictures because she was so good. And so when I'm seeing people say this is black versus white, this has nothing to do with color. That girl is good. And anybody saying anything else is just being very dishonest and disingenuous, because she caught my attention, and I'll be watching her next game simply because she's a great player. I even tried to watch the USC and UConn game afterwards, and while I think Juju is good, it was the usual women's basketball to me. And I said, I watched a little bit of it and I said, I'm going to bed. But Caitlin is actually good and she's exciting to watch. I know we talked last week about her being in the big three and I was so anti, no, I don't think a woman should be playing with men. I still don't, but I will watch it because she's an exciting player and she's very good and she doesn't compare to the rest of these girls that she's playing with when we talk about the excitement and her ability and her skill and what she's able to do. I'm sorry, I don't see that from Angel Reese. I don't see that from Flau'jae. I think Flau'jae has a great career ahead of her. I think she's a hard and tough player. But what we see from Caitlin Clark is just on another level. And for anybody to say anything else, they are the actual racists because you refuse to give this girl credit because she's white. You refuse to say how good she is because of her skin color. So to me, that's racism as well because her skill level is superior, and that's just what it is.
You get the final word. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll play tomorrow, and we'll see you guys tomorrow as well.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came in like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on the corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, no deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be